Hi, I'm Laurie, CEO of Aligned at Work in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we're here to talk more leadership. In my last video, I introduced the series that we're going to go through over the next few weeks and months to really dive into areas about leadership. And I talked a little bit about the impact of starting my own business and then the world that we're living in today, pandemic, racial unrest, and how we've got these cancers built into our company cultures that are just going to undermine things. Let me show you a few more statistics about what's going on in our workplaces today. So let me share my screen. We ended last time talking about the 5 cancers that are really killing your culture. Things like hiding information, secrets and silos, being a company cog, having rotten apples on the team, and then bias, tribalism, excluding people, and last but not least, leading in inauthentic ways by saying, do as I say and not as I do. But there's more than that that's going on today. Incivility has been going up over the years, doubled over the past 20 years. It is making a major impact on us, not just in money, but in emotional energy spent in things like this. It's affecting us physiologically. It's affecting our bodies, our minds, our emotions. I am a person who believes in bringing one's whole self to work because for years I really couldn't do that. I was asked sometimes to check my soul at the door. You might have been asked to do the same thing. I'm not willing to settle for that anymore. And thankfully, neither are the generations coming into the workplace today. So as well as this general incivility, kind of what can lead into that also, or what feeds into that, is when we work in those workplaces where people say, well, we're just having a healthy competition. Is it? Now, in my younger years, nobody was more competitive than I was. But I've found that over time, it doesn't end well. And I ask you to reconsider it too. If you think you've got healthy competition going on, ask yourself if you're really building teamwork and trust and a one company feel like you think you are, because those kinds of things tend to pull people apart. And sometimes the other thing that feeds into that is cultures that I've worked in that said, well, if we're not picking on you, then we don't love you. Well, that also wears people down over time, because a lot of times we know whether we're the in crowd or the out crowd. I'll talk more about that in another video. But we also feel like when we go to work, especially, that we just can't say what we think. We can't get our creativity out there. And one thing the pandemic has taught us is that the time for innovation is now. I've spoken to some CIOs in the retail space, and in a lot of cases, they tell me about things that they thought were going to take months that really only took a couple of weeks when they got right down to it. So all those folks who were forced into working from home found that they could make it work on the company end a lot differently than they thought they could. Easier? I don't know if it was so easy, but boy, it had to happen, and so it did. And so when we think about these, that 1 in 5 workers strongly agree that their opinions account, only 1 in 5, 20% of us feel like we're getting some airtime, and the rest of us don't feel that at all. So as we go through this, we find that if our work is meaningless, if it feels like that to us, we really don't enjoy coming to work. And those of you who are leaders of people, if we haven't engaged the hearts and minds, we're just not cutting it as leaders. Now, executives sometimes give themselves a time and space to innovate, or we have executive retreats. My company actually leads those. They'll pull off and plan, they'll pull off and be creative, or they give themselves some downtime sometimes. But the more we are those front-facing people, the more we are at that front line, we find that we really aren't getting that creative space. We need to justify every minute of what we're doing and where we are and what we're doing with our time. And it's wearing on us, it's wearing us down. And it's wearing us down to the extent that we're going through burnout. Now, the World Health Organization back in May of 2019 said that burnout is real and it's job related. But I would add to that, that when you add working from home, and even if you're not, if you're frontline and you are or essential workers and you're out there in the workplace all the time, you're still worried about where the kid's going to go. What about my elderly parents? Who's watching my pets? I don't know, whatever it is. There's a lot of things pulling our attention away. Initially, it was, will I ever be able to get toilet paper? And so this adds to what we're going through. Burnout is real and it shows up in our bodies. A lot of times it will just lay you out flat at some point. If you're not listening to what your body's telling you, you will go down. Been there, done that. Husband's been there, done that. A lot of times we ignore it for a long time. Now to wrap this one up, I'm not going to give you any solutions other than, boy, is it a mess out there. And there's also so many good stories about what's going on these days too. So I invite you to reach out. The easiest way to find me is Laurie at Aligned at Work, or go to the Aligned at Work website and just put a form on there to reach out. But let's talk leadership. And I'll be back here soon with a couple of things. The 5 cancers talks, and also the model that builds inclusive leadership. I'll see you back here then. Thanks for watching.